Okay, so this would be take 3 for Sundays.
Yes.
Wi-Fi. We just
Yes.
sat here, and this is a good example of a great example of what we were trying to discuss in our last tape of learning to live a life where you accept everything as wonderful.
Somehow in your own best interest.
Somehow it's in your best interest. And instead of going, this doggone wife.
All right, guys. So, like Greg was saying, this is our practice in how to perceive everything as somehow in our own best interest. And so, Greg and I had been talking about maybe doing our classes from the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center where the Wi-Fi is great. And so we're perceiving that maybe this is the time. This is the encouragement and the sign that we're supposed to go to the Miracle Center.
So when the Wi-Fi is cutting in and out, the old Greg and Anna would go, doggone Wi-Fi. Want to throw her phone across the room and get upset because the thoughts coming into our mind is telling us that something's wrong.
Yes.
And it's upsetting us, and it's trying to steal our peace. And rather than do that, through A Course in Miracles, you learn to apply the application.
Yep.
Say, Spirit, how do you see this? And then Spirit goes, oh, I'm so glad you asked.
So glad you asked.
Well, one of the reasons why the Wi-Fi keeps going in and out is because you keep asking me, what do you want to do, Spirit? And I want to have class downtown at the Rocky Mountain
I already told
Miracle
you that weeks ago.
And here you are doing
Still
it
up
from the
here.
comfort of your own home, and then wondering why you're having Wi-Fi issues. Well, it's just me nudging you
Yes.
to see it.
All right, guys.
So here we go.
And also, just a reminder: if the cutting in and out doesn't work for you, just watch it later, and it plays it without the Wi-Fi buffering.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're talking about here, we are in chapter 17, section 6, called Setting the Goal. And this section is all about how to begin the process of the transformation of your relationship from an unhappy, sacrificial, guilt-based relationship to a holy, happy relationship. And it starts with understanding, speaking now about Spirit's purpose. Okay, so like Spirit's purpose, we've accepted it generally. We said, yeah, I'm all about Spirit. Like, yeah, I'm all about Spirit. What does Spirit know? What does Spirit think? And then, great, we've accepted, generally speaking, Spirit's goal for us. But now Spirit's going to work to make Spirit's purpose very specific to our relationship. It's like, yeah, I know you want Spirit, and that's great. And now, let's talk about what Spirit wants for your relationship. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay.
And we heard that it's extremely simple and clear.
Yes.
It's not like most of the things in life where you have to Google it on the internet and read 5 pages of a pamphlet and still be extremely confused as to how things work.
Yeah.
Spirit's encouraging us right out the gate, saying, listen, kids, this is extremely simple.
Yeah.
It's extremely simple and it's clear. It's not going to be so complicated that it's above our pay grade of understanding.
And that's hard to believe because all of our relationships seem very complex and very difficult.
Especially to try to have a happy one.
Exactly. You know, none of us would say, oh, my relationship is so simple and obvious, and my relationship isn't complicated at all. You know, everybody says about their relationships is complicated. You know,
and it can need some work.
Exactly. And so it's saying that the application of Spirit's purpose to your relationship ain't nothing complicated about it. It's very simple, which means easy to do, and you don't have to have an advanced degree to do it. You know, even if your relationship as it is now seems very complicated, you know, as all of our relationships do seem complicated.
And wouldn't it make sense that the creator of relationship, that God would make it such that our relationships, when you boil it down, that it's simple.
Yeah, we read last Sunday at the Miracle Center that obviousness is the essential characteristic of reality. Obviousness is the essential characteristic of what's true. So when you're dealing with something that's really true, it's obvious, it's simple, it's clear. You know, when you're dealing with something that isn't true, that came from the ego, that's not true, it's going to be complicated, it's going to be obscured, and it's going to be hard to do. But if it comes from love and it comes from God, it's going to be clear, obvious, and easy to do. So good thing to keep in mind, you know, as you're discerning what it is that you're experiencing and perceiving. All right. So it says now Spirit is going to work with us in our relationship to make Spirit's purpose, its application very specific in our relationship. And the way it's going to do that in our relationship is there are certain very specific guidelines that Spirit's going to provide for any relationship, which also means any situation. Okay, good. Spirit's going to provide what? Some certain guidelines for our relationship situation.
Now, remember at the beginning of our first take, we were reminding ourselves that a relationship just isn't romantic.
No, it's
a relationship is a situation.
Any situation.
It's a situation with your work, with your boss, with your person at the grocery store, with your neighbor, and with your romantic partner.
Every relationship is a situation.
Yeah.
We got a situation here. Which means we're in a relationship and it feels complicated. All right. So what Course in Miracles is telling us here is that Spirit now wants to make your general desire for Spirit very specific in application to your situation, your relationship that you're in. Well, thank you very much, because that's what I really need.
So no matter what we're going through, isn't that wonderful to have we're given a key, and no matter what situation we're going through, we're getting ready to hear how to not only apply an application to that situation, but a very specific application,
practical,
to
specific.
All situations,
all relationships.
It's a one key unlocks all doors.
Exactly. It's a one formula fits all for all relationships, all situations. When you're ready for a transformation from an unhappy, sacrificial, guilt-based relationship situation to one where you are celebrated and free to be yourself and happy and whole and complete.
Beautiful.
Okay, great. It says so. That sentence says there are certain very specific guidelines that Spirit provides for any relationship, but remember that you do not yet really realize their universal application. So these are all universal, but Spirit's going to make it real specific for us, real practical to what we think we're going through. Thank you, Spirit. You see, that sounds just like Spirit. Spirit isn't going to be like, giving us very lofty spiritual platitudes. Spirit here in this curriculum is like, let me help you make it specific to your situation and your relationship in a way it's clear and obvious where you can understand it. Thank you, Spirit. That's the kind of teacher I need.
Me for sure.
That is the kind of relationship coach I need. Make it very specific, very practical, very clear, and very easy to understand. Spirit is the ultimate special ed teacher. We're the special ed students who need special curriculum, and Spirit is the ultimate special ed teacher who knows exactly how to teach special ed kids. That's us. All right. It says, therefore, it is essential at this point in our journey to use these guidelines in each relationship separately until we can more safely look beyond each specific relationship situation in an understanding far broader than we now possess.
And this is just what we were talking about at the beginning of our first take today, is that once you learn the principles and how to apply the principles of A Course in Miracles, Anna and I first started out applying them to our specific relationship, our romantic relationship, and then this light dawned on at least me, what would happen if I applied these to a broader understanding, to my job,
Yes.
to my
Family.
neighbor, to my dog, to the weather,
To the Wi-Fi problem.
to me being lost on the top of a mountain with some other people for 5 hours and wondering if we're going to get back by dark. How to apply to a broader, it wants us to start out
specific,
and
then go back to broader.
and then learn how to use it on broader and broader until we're using it
On
in
everything.
every area of our life.
Exactly. The Course in Miracles says really the purpose of this curriculum is the transfer of learning, so that eventually we'll apply these principles to everything. Okay, but thank you, Spirit, for being willing to apply them specifically to this situation or this situation, because that's what we think we need.
And we can learn that way that the principles work. And that's what grows our faith. It's
Yes,
like, wow,
exactly.
I used that principle
It worked even there.
with Anna last night, when that could have been a really big argument and a real uncomfortable disaster.
Yeah.
And using these principles, it transformed what could have been a hellish experience into a heavenly experience.
Yes.
And then our faith grows. Wow. And then we look for the next time we're in a situation where we're getting upset, where things don't seem to be going the way we would like, and we apply them to that, and it works again. And then our faith really starts, the momentum starts picking up to where we eventually realize, oh, now that I got it, I can get it done with everything going on in my life.
That's right. Oh, it works over here. Oh, look, it worked over here. Oh, look, it works on the poker table. Oh my God, look, it works with my kid. Oh, it worked in the grocery store. Oh, wonderful. It worked in a recession. Wow, okay.
But if Spirit had us doing it right out the gate with everything,
Right,
it
exactly.
would just be too overwhelming
that's right.
for us, because our faith isn't at a level
That's right.
where we don't even have the faith of a mustard seed
That's
to do
right.
a little bit of stuff in just one area of our life with our dog or something. How are we going to apply it to everything?
Exactly. So
But-
Spirit's going to be like, let's apply it first to this relationship right here, and then later you will see that it applies to everything.
It's like this old movie called What About Bob? And the psychiatrist was trying to teach Bob, you don't need to fix everything. You're overwhelmed with everything. And so let's take baby steps.
Exactly.
So when you're getting anxiety that you're getting ready to go onto an elevator and you're going to get claustrophobic in this elevator, just don't think of anything beyond the elevator or what was happening before the elevator.
Yes.
Think about what's happening, Bob, right now, and just focus on taking baby steps to this one situation. Baby steps. And then Bob learned this principle, and then he started learning he could apply that not just to the elevator, but it worked on the elevator, and so now he learned it could work when he gets in his car
Yes.
or gets on a bus or whatever he's doing in life.
That's right. Beautiful.
So if you're just joining, we're in chapter 17, section 6, and just starting on paragraph 2 right now.
Right, and the title is called the setting the goal.
Setting the goal.
Setting the goal, and we were saying that this is the formula and the process that begins the transformation of the unholy, unhappy relationship to the holy relationship. Okay, so this is the formula.
Yeah.
Here you go. Paragraph 2. In any situation or relationship in which you are uncertain, the first thing to consider very simply is, what do I want to come of this? In other words, what is this relationship for?
So if I was a note taker, this is where I would mentally start making notes. Okay, because it says the first thing to consider.
In any relationship.
Again, very simply.
Very simple.
This isn't complicated.
Very simple.
Is to what?
Is to consider.
To ask this question.
Yes, to ask a question of yourself. What do I want to come of this relationship?
Or situation.
In other words, what is this relationship or situation for?
Now you're on your way to an event, whether it be work or a party or whatever, and you're supposed to be there at a certain time, and you can see on your clock, man, at this rate I'm going to be 10 minutes late, and you get onto this next highway and it's bumper to bumper traffic. And now you're what? You're starting to lose your peace. And the Course is saying, at that moment, let's start applying A Course in Miracles. What do I want? Ask myself, sitting in this traffic jam on the way to wherever I'm going that I'm going to be late, what do I want to come of this? What is this for?
Right. And exactly. And since this is a class where we're talking about relationships, in any relationship in which you are uncertain, whereas like, what's going on here? What's their problem? What's my problem? What's happening?
Why is Anna talking so flirty to that guy? What's happening?
Why is this pattern happening again? That's uncertainty. Notice how when you're upset, there's uncertainty. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are you doing that? What do you want? What's going on? Why are you doing that? When in any relationship in which you in the original edition, you is underlined. Notice that.
Now that's funny. I'm always saying Anna knows the Course so well. She often knows when we're reading something, oh, that wasn't in the blue book, that was taken out, and here she's recognizing that a specific word and the original was, where is that word we're looking
in
for?
Any relationship in which you.
Oh, that it wasn't underlined.
In the original edition, the word "you" is underlined. In the edited version, it's not. So in the original edition, it emphasizes the "you" in any relationship in which you are uncertain.
Yeah, we're not talking about anybody else in the story.
Right, exactly. Focusing on you.
This is about what the Course talks about, you accepting the undoing or the atonement for yourself.
Yes.
Not for what they're doing or a whole group of people are doing, but you. When you feel uncertain.
In any relationship situation, the first thing for you to consider is, what do I want to come of this relationship / situation? What is this relationship for? Now
let's say that one example where Anna and I are out in public and she's talking to some guy over there, and I'm getting a little worked up about it. I'm uncertain. And the first question for me to ask when I realize, when I'm aware that I'm losing my peace, when I'm getting upset,
that you're uncertain,
is to ask myself, don't go over and ask Anna, what do you want out of this situation?
What are you trying
with this guy you're talking to?
And laughing.
Is to ask myself, what do I want to come of this? Because when I ask myself that, then the answer starts becoming obvious, because it's like, well, I don't want to be upset, and I'm getting upset. And so the Course is trying to shake us to wake up a little bit here during this situation. what do I want to come of this? Well, what I want to come of this is to get in a fight with Anna, to get in an argument and have a horrible evening.
And then break up.
Even though we both got dressed up and went out to this celebration. Is that what you want? Of course, it's like to remind ourselves in the moment.
Yes.
What do you want? Well, I want to be happy.
Yeah, I want to enjoy myself.
Well, quite simply, is to be happy. Is it making you happy, the thoughts you're having about what's going on? No, but it's going on. That's not the question.
Right, that wasn't the question.
The question is, what do you want out of it?
Yes.
It sounds like you want to fight.
Yeah.
Because that's the way your mind, for some reason, is going that direction.
Which is the way the ego always takes.
And so notice where, Greg, come back here. Notice
what do you want?
Where you're going, and is that where you want to go? Because that's not, it's obviously not going to be what's leading to joy, peace, and happiness. So remind yourself, oh, well, that's obviously must not be the right way, because that obviously, quite simply, not going to lead me to where peace and joy is. So it makes Holy Spirit right away, by asking that question of ourselves, makes me reel back, what do I want? Oh yeah, I want to be happy, and these thoughts I'm having are not making me happy and comfortable, so they must not, number one, be coming from God, Holy Spirit, the angels, you know, the flowers, whatever you want to think they're coming from.
Anything that makes you happy.
From an unhappy source.
Yes.
And so recognize, oh yeah, I'm aligning now with an unhappy source. And how do you think you're going to be happy when you're aligning yourself to unhappy?
Right.
I love how this section starts out with, listen people, this is simple. This isn't rocket science.
It is not rocket science.
So the first question in the step of order when we're uncertain in a situation or relationship is to ask ourselves a question. What do I want to come of this? And what is it for?
What is this situation or relationship for? Like so not only you go, what is this situation for? Like you were saying, I want to enjoy myself and have a good time tonight. Also, I could ask ourselves, what is this relationship for?
Yeah.
What is this relationship for?
Is it to bring me misery?
Right. Is it to control? And is it for specialness? Is it for, pride? Is it for control? What is this relationship for? Oh yeah. It's for us to join in love and extend that love to everybody else. And so that is in this formula, which transforms the old unhappy relationship into the new happy, fulfilled relationship. The first thing in that formula is to notice when you're feeling uncertain, perfect example, and then to ask yourself the question, what do I want to come of this relationship situation? What is this relationship or situation for? Exactly. And you brought up the perfect example. It's a perfect example because it's an example where you would not think to stop and ask a simple question.
Yeah, our question in that example would be more like, what is that guy laughing so much with her about? Or why is her eyes so twinkling while she's talking to him? I know that look. And those are the questions that we're asking.
Yes.
And every one of those questions do not lead to peace.
Right.
We know they don't lead to peace.
Yes, we
And
know
that's
that.
why it's almost like Spirit's coming to us and saying, the first thing is to slap yourself upside the face. Wake up. Where do you see where you're going? You're getting ready to drive yourself off a cliff. Do you see that?
Right.
Now ask yourself, is that what you want?
Exactly. And saying, what do I want to come of this relationship situation, and what is this for? It is completely 100% different than how we have all responded in the past when we were in a relationship situation and felt uncertain, which is another word for insecure.
Totally.
Uncertain is another word for insecure.
Heaven does it different than the earthling people.
Exactly. If you want to have a different relationship, I mean radically different, that means you will have to do things 100% different. And A Course in Miracles is a very simple, easy, clear formula by which to do your relationships differently. I mean, and so simple and easy that it goes, do this, and then do that, and then do this. Very simple, very practical, very clear.
And this is no joke. I would encourage you to write this down.
Yes, this is a formula.
What do I want to come of this, and what is it for? And stick it, write it on a card.
Yes.
Put it in your wallet. Put it in your purse. Put it somewhere that you can access it. And then the next time that you start getting some anxiety, getting upset, getting
angry,
fearful, then you don't have to remember what to do. Just remember, oh yeah, when I'm upset, I'm supposed to do something.
Yeah.
And then you can pull that out and read it and go, oh yeah, I'm asking the wrong questions.
Yes.
I need to reevaluate this, and I need to look at this from the first sentence that we read, a more practical. What was that it said? About practical, the practical application.
Yes.
The Holy Spirit wants us to learn a practical application, which is to ask a practical question.
Yes.
Something that works. Not,
exactly.
And I really love the way you were saying that. What's that old saying? If you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity.
Yes.
And so the way we've been doing it, we have to cut ties with the way we've been doing it before.
Yep.
And we have to teach ourselves until we come to a place. Anna and I, Anna much more so than myself, and I'm so grateful for that, for real. But Anna and I have learned to apply these applications for enough time now that we don't have to pull the card out to read it. Now when we get upset, we already start walking ourselves through the processes, the application that A Course in Miracles has given us, and we still have work to do. We still have learning to do. But boy howdy, we're a lot further than we were 4 years ago.
And a lot happier.
And so much happier.
And a lot happier, more longer periods of time. You know, longer periods of time where it's like, wow, that's been a long time since we've been in conflict. You know, which is a miracle. And you know, and it's and it's not because of some kind of fluke. I told you the other day, this last weekend, I said, where we're at right now in our relationship, not that we're never going to get in another fight again, not that we're never going to be, you know, in this conflict with each other again, but I told her last week, and I said, you know, hon, I just realized, and it's nothing to do with my last relationships. It's nothing to do with the other marriages that I've been in. It's in those marriages I didn't have the tools that I have now. It wasn't the person. It wasn't that person was a bad person. And I should have never been married with them. I should have never been married to the concepts that I was using to try to have a good relationship. And I was telling her just this last weekend, literally, that I just realized I have never, all the way back to my first dating days of junior high school, that I've never had a relationship with anybody, my parents, my brothers, my cousins, nobody, where I've gone this long with not only not getting into confrontation, but really being happily involved with my relationship. And a happiness that increases.
Yes. Not even a job that I loved working at. Have I gone this long where I didn't get upset, angry, and
Yes.
wanting to break up with my job or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really exciting that you can take these principles and count on them so
Yes.
consistently.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. So in this formula for transforming the unhappy relationship into the happy, fulfilled relationship of no sacrifice and compromise, the first thing you want to do is, when you are feeling uncertain, is to ask yourself, what do I want to come of this, and what is this relationship for?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it says to ask yourself that is because the clarification of the goal of the relationship or the goal of the situation belongs at the beginning
Which
of the
makes sense.
situation. Of course. Duh.
Don't wait till you're halfway through
Yeah.
the battle fighting and then stop and go,
What's our battle plan?
hey,
What's our battle plan?
What's the plan here?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it to kill ourselves?
Yeah, or to whatever, So exactly, the clarification of the goal belongs at the beginning of the situation or the relationship.
Because
Why?
It's a lot easier to fix at the beginning
Yes.
until you wait till you're in the middle and the thick of the battle.
Yes.
And you guys haven't spoke to each other for 3 days.
Exactly. To then go, what do I want to come of this? Right.
Well, that's a good question. And it still will work. That's the beauty of it.
Anytime.
But it would have worked a lot easier because now you have less
That's right.
less sludge to get off of you
Yes, exactly.
than you did 3 days
That's right.
ago.
Exactly. So the clarification of the goal for the relationship or the situation belongs at the beginning. Beginning is underlined because it is the goal that you set at the beginning that will determine the outcome of the situation or relationship. What is it that determines the outcome of the relationship situation? Their behavior? My behavior? No. The goal. My goal. The goal is what determines the outcome.
So in that story where I see you and another guy talking and I'm feeling vulnerable or threatened and uncertain.
Yes.
And I ask myself that, and then I come up with the conclusion, well, what I want out of this is to be happy.
Yes.
Then I'm remembering, oh yeah, that's the goal. And if that's the goal, then why am I entertaining these unhappy thoughts?
Exactly. And if your goal is to be happy, take or not to take.
And in our old way of doing things, we argue this concept and go, well, if I don't, then I'm just not going to reach my goal of being happy.
Right. Right.
And
Okay.
Spirit's going, we're not at that. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Right.
You're not ready for that yet.
Exactly. So remember that the clarification of the goal for this relationship or situation belongs at the beginning. Why? Because it is your goal that will determine the outcome of this situation. The goal is, what do I want to come of this? What is this for? That's the goal. What do I want to come of this? What is this for? And the answer to that question will determine the outcome. And so beautiful. Wow. How? Let's just think about that for a moment. We're all about manifestation, right? Okay. What determines the outcome of a situation or a relationship is what? The goal that you set for it. The goal you want to accomplish. That's what determines the outcome, not what they do, not what they say, not what happens, not anything but your goal for it.
Which puts the power back into your hand.
Exactly.
It doesn't put the power into Anna's hand or the guy she's talking to's hand.
Exactly.
It brings the power back to where it belongs.
Yes.
Where God put it.
Yes.
In our control.
Yes.
Now I have the control of what do I want to do with this
Right.
situation?
What do I want to come of this? What is this for? And regardless of what was happening with me talking to the guy, the outcome is going to be what Greg wants to come of this. What's this situation for?
Totally.
Isn't that beautiful? In other words, now all the power is put back into his mind where God put it.
And usually what you'll find at the end of the day of that story is you'll be driving home and Anna will say something like, I had the most lovely talk with this guy. I wish you were over there with him. He was laughing and talking about how he watched one of your videos and how he applied it to his relationship with his girlfriend, and it just worked.
It's miraculous, and he was so grateful,
and you're
which
like,
made me laugh so hard.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea I was making this story up that the ego was giving me. And that's how the ego works. No matter what's going on, our belief system that we deserve unhappiness and punishment is whispering lies into our ears constantly.
Yes, exactly. Great example. Thank you for that. And it says, now, just like exactly what we were just saying, of course, in the ego's procedure, this is reversed. Just like you said, the way we do it is exact opposite. And what is the ego's procedure? Well, the situation becomes the determiner of the outcome.
Yeah, not my goal,
Right.
but I'm a victim to what Anna and this guy are laughing it up, talking over there across the room.
Right.
I'm a victim to that situation. Now I don't have any power.
Right.
They have the power that's going to control whether I'm going to be happy tonight or not.
Exactly. Exactly. In the ego's procedure, the way the ego does it is exactly reversed. We just be like, oh, look what's happening. Well, that's going to determine my response. Okay? And so now, like just exactly like Greg said, now we're the victim of the situation instead of the one who is determining the outcome ourselves. Okay? Beautiful.
I keep hearing that song in my head. I've got the power!
I got the power! Exactly. In the ego's procedure, the relationship or situation becomes the determiner of the outcome, which can be anything. Now, the reason the ego has this disorganized approach is evident. The ego doesn't know what it wants to come of it.
The ego's never asked that question.
Yeah, the ego never asks, what do I want to come of this?
What do I want to come of
No,
this?
the ego never asks that question. The ego never asks the question, what do I want to come of this situation? What is this relationship for? The ego never asks that question.
The thought system of the ego just assumes, it assumes that it knows what's going on, and that it assumes always that what's going on is not going to make me happy.
Exactly. It's not good. The ego.
But it never asks what it wants to come out of it, because if it asks what it wants to come out of it, then it's quite logical. Well, it's not unhappiness. That's not what I want to come out of it. Or I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be hurt. It never asks that question.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't even know what it wants to come out of this.
Exactly.
And that's who we're following.
Yeah, so the ego looks at the situation and goes, oh my God, I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what that means. It's bad. And now I'm forced to react.
And I want you, Greg, to follow me.
Yes.
And it's driving like a maniac, shifting in the fourth gear, and you're
drinking a beer.
And you look over and go, but where are we going? I don't know where we're going. But we're going there fast.
And I'm drinking while we're getting there.
Yeah. And don't wear your seatbelt, so if we get in a wreck, this car won't be a trap.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. It says, the reason for the ego's disorganized formula for response is obvious. Ego doesn't know what it wants to come of this. Now the ego is aware of what it does not want, but only that. The ego has no positive goal at all.
Nope, it never is on its road to happiness. No positive goal at all. All of its goals are negative.
It's all of the ego's goals are negative. I know I don't want this, and I don't want that, and I don't like that, and I don't want this, and I don't like that, and I don't like this, and I don't want that.
I don't trust them.
And I don't trust them, and you know how they are, and let me show you this video of them from the past. You know, the ego has no positive goal at all. The ego will never say, what do I want to come of this? Well, I want to be happy, and I want her to be happy, and I want everyone to be happy, and I want peace. The ego will never, the ego has no positive goal at all. The ego, all you ever hear from the ego is, I don't like this, and I don't like that, and I don't like you, and I don't like this, and I don't want that. And then you say to somebody, when somebody's complaining, and they're in their ego, and they're like, I don't like this, I don't like that, and you go, well, what do you want to happen? They're like, they don't know, because the ego has no positive, which means loving, which means peaceful goal.
Mm-hmm.
The ego doesn't have a goal for happiness. The ego doesn't have a goal for peace. That's not the ego's goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's your goal.
Yes.
It's not the ego's goal. Right? And so now it says, but without a clear-cut positive goal set at the beginning of the situation, then the situation relationship just seems to happen, and then makes no sense until the situation relationship has already happened. And then you look back at this relationship situation, and then you try to piece together what that situation or relationship must have meant. And guess what? You will be wrong.
Because now at the beginning you were tempted.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the situation we were tempted to be wrong. And then we took the bait.
Yeah.
And now we're full drawn into that reel. We've been reeled in, and now we are for sure wrong.
Yes.
At first we were tempted to be wrong.
Right.
And now that we have acted and we're driving home, and Anna's like, why were you in such a bad mood all night?
What's wrong with you?
Bad mood? Why were you over there yik-yakking with that good-looking man over in the corner, laughing it up? Yeah, and I'm over here all by my lonesome. I don't know nobody at this part. And, and you're over there just sticking that knife in further, making me feel all this way. And now you're asking me, why am I mad? What's wrong with you, girl? And at that point, you can be assured that you're completely wrong.
Exactly.
Why? Because you started out in the wrong direction, the wrong path. And then you wondered why you got in that car accident in your relationship.
And then you broke up.
Yeah, and then you broke up. But we won't laugh about that.
Oh, sorry.
No, stop laughing
I'm
about
sorry, I'm sorry,
the
I'm
breakup.
sorry, I'm
The
sorry,
breakup,
I'm
the
sorry.
old country western breakup
I'm sorry.
song is not funny.
Well, if it wasn't for breakups, there would be no country western song, so,
and no line dancing.
And no line dancing, exactly. And so really a holy relationship is just the exact reverse of a country western song.
Well, sometimes.
You just reverse it. You get your dog back, you get your truck back, you get your woman back, you get your job back, and life is good.
And your achy breaky heart.
Exactly, it's all fixed.
Yeah.
So of Course in Miracles is the opposite of that. All right, beautiful. So that's the ego's procedure. That's the way our ego does it. Our ego doesn't ask, what would I like to come of this? What is this for? It just waits till something happens. It doesn't set a goal. It just waits to see what happens. And then it goes, oh my God, that's terrible. And then it determines what it all means, even though you never set a goal, and then determines what it all means and why it happened and who's to blame. And then it says, and this is underlined, in the original, you will be wrong.
The whole sentence is
The
underlined.
whole sentence is underlined. You will be wrong. As you're sitting there deciding, I know what that meant, and I know why they did it, and I know what I should do, and I know what's going on. And you didn't set a goal at the beginning of that situation or relationship, but now you're certain, and you just waited till it happened, and now you think you know what it all means and why it happened. You will be wrong.
And this is when we're insane, which is why
Yes.
the next part
Yes.
says not only is your judgment in the past,
Yes.
but you have no idea what should have happened. So when you're in that argument in the car,
Yes.
this is how crafty
Yes.
our ego belief system is.
Very crafty.
Is it has us concentrating on the story as it's happening outside of us,
Yes.
rather than the story, what should have happened inside of us, not outside of
The
us.
goal that we should have set at the beginning, the moment we started to feel uncertain, we should have asked, what do I want to come of this? What is this for?
Which is why it says, but you have no idea, because now you're in a mind of insanity.
If you didn't set a goal, you have no idea what should have happened.
What should have happened? What should have
Right.
happened was, rather than me getting all caught up on what's
Yes.
going on there across the room,
Yep.
what should have happened was I should have remembered to pull that flashcard out of my wallet and go,
Yes.
okay, I'm upset. What am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, what do I want to come out of it? Well, I don't want to be unhappy.
I don't want to get divorced
I don't want to get
again.
divorced. I don't want to get in a fight again.
Again.
It's funny how we said it. Again with my partner.
Again.
I don't
It
want.
really sucks.
It's gonna be the same old story
And
again and
it's the
again.
same old
It's gonna be the
story.
same old fight.
Every time
again
we
and
fight,
again.
it's the same old
Yeah,
fight.
it's because you keep forgetting at the beginning what to do to
Yes.
set the goal. And that's
Yes.
why it's the same fight,
That's
it's
why
the same story,
That's why it's the same
and
fight.
it's the same outcome.
Yes.
Because you did the same formula
Yes.
at the beginning the old way.
Yes.
And we get this new formula working for us,
Mm-hmm.
and then watch the results.
Exactly. Beautiful.
I know we're running out of
Yeah,
time.
it's actually 8:30 now.
Yeah, it is already
Now,
8:30.
so we could stop here and just say
How
that
about
next
if we go?
Sunday,
How about if we finish because
this paragraph.
because a lot of people are going to come back and watch from the
Yes.
beginning,
Right. That's
and
true.
we lost a ton of time. We had about 40 minutes where we started over,
Okay.
and then we've had and I want to point out something. We are literally getting interruptions. The weather hasn't changed any. If anything,
Yeah.
it's gotten more cloudy.
Yes.
And we had interruptions over and over and over.
With Wi-Fi.
I noticed when we came back on and we realized that Spirit has been telling us to do this down at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center. And of course we were thinking in our own wisdom that it would be better here at the house in our cozy home. We don't have to drive nowhere. And since we've turned it back on, I don't think your Wi-Fi has gone off once.
One time.
Mine has gone off one time.
One time.
But for the most part, it stayed on working this whole time, where it was going off every couple minutes. And so I think that's almost a clarification from Spirit. Okay, because it's not always our ego doing, we think it's our ego doing things all the time. But Spirit's heavily involved. And so sometimes it's like, okay, there's not a problem at all. What's the message that Spirit's trying to tell me?
Yes.
And once we got that message, notice the Wi-Fi is working pretty good.
Interesting.
Interesting.
And so, that would have been a good practice of this with us, is when the Wi-Fi started going in and out, for us to say,
What do I want to come of this?
what is this class for? What is this class for? What do I want to come of this class? And as a way to specifically apply Spirit's purpose not only to our relationship but also to our class. Our class is also a relationship.
Of course.
And and this is all about specifically applying Spirit's purpose to all of our relationships. This relationship, our relationship with our class, and
Correct.
look at the beautiful result. And also, I think we should close these doors because I noticed that a ton of mosquitoes are coming in.
Oh, okay.
So I think we should do that. And
Why don't you pick up on
okay, great.
number
All right.
5 and let's move it on through.
All right. So we're gonna go a little bit longer because of the break that we had. So.
Yeah, and for the people that are watching it from the beginning, it will
Yes.
be a normal blink. One.
Exactly. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so it's talking about the ego's procedure, like how we do the ego thing. And in the ego's procedure, we don't set a goal at the beginning, asking what do I want to come to this relationship or situation. We just wait to see what happens, and then we go, and then we look at the situation that just seemed to have happened. Then we look at it, and then we try to decide what that situation or relationship must have meant. And then it's telling us very clearly, and you will be wrong. Okay, why is it that if you do the ego's procedure of evaluating the situation or the relationship, and you didn't set a goal at the beginning, why is it that you will be wrong when you look at it and try to determine what it means? Because not only is your judgment of that situation or relationship in the past, but you have no idea what should have happened in that situation or that relationship because you didn't set a goal.
Yep. And you can be certain you're with the ego when you don't know what the goal is.
Exactly. You didn't set a goal with which to bring the means in line.
You just think the situation set the goal.
Exactly. You think the situation determines what it means.
What the goal is.
What the goal is.
The goal is a fight.
Yeah.
Unhappiness.
Right,
How do you
exactly.
know? Well, that's because the situation determined it.
Exactly.
Oh, so you are, God made you, and then He put you in a world and made you vulnerable to everything that happens around you.
Exactly.
That doesn't sound like a loving
Like
parent.
you're the victim of what happens.
It sounds like a loving parent would put you in a world where you have the power and the control over all, as you've heard, to have dominion
Yes.
over all living creatures and
Yes.
over all things and over the world. Take dominion over it is to set the goal
Yes.
in all situations.
Exactly. Yeah, the way the ego does it is it just sees what happens. Oh, well, that's what determines how I am going to experience it. Okay, that's how the ego does it, and that's why the ego is always so pissed off, and that's why the ego feels like such a victim. It's always so angry, you know. And it says that the way the ego does it, you know, you didn't set a goal with which to bring the means in line. That's interesting. The goal is a means to bring. The goal is the thing to bring the means in line. You know. So when you set a goal, you are literally setting up something that brings the means in line. That's what a goal does, by the way.
So if my goal, and I remind myself, what do I want to come out of this? It doesn't matter what's happening. It doesn't say, ask yourself the question, what is happening?
Right.
It says to ask what you want to come out of it. So when I say, well, I want happiness, that's what I want.
Yes, I want peace.
And if that's what I want, then I'm only going to allow what fits into that file. And does this thought, this negative, or as it called it, a not positive attribute, it won't make it through the filter because the filter is the goal.
Right. That's
If
right.
it makes it through the filter, then you set the goal to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Or you set the goal to be angry. But if I set the filter up, that will only let the particles of positive, happy, loving, kind, peaceful, joyful particles to come through that filter, then that's obviously going to be the only experiences I'm going to have. But when I set up, don't have a goal, then there's no filter.
Yes.
And then anything can come through.
Yes, and it will.
And it will.
I love, that is the perfect metaphor. The positive, clear-cut goal set at the beginning of the relationship or situation is a filter that only lets through the positive, the loving, the happy, the joyous.
If that's what your goal is.
If that's what your goal is. Your goal is what brings the means in line. When you know what you want, everything that doesn't help you meet what you want, literally, you just send it on its way. You just like, next, 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 next. I know what I want, so I'll pick that. You know, when you know what you want, because you have set a positive, clear-cut goal at the beginning, then when something comes at you that doesn't fit your positive, loving goal, then you just send it on its way. You don't bring it in and engage with it and have agreements with it and fight with it. When you know what you want, then what shows up that isn't in alignment with what you don't want, you just pass it on by. You don't even
pick it up.
You don't even pick it up.
When you're building
You don't even pick it up.
tree house,
Yeah.
and you look out there and you see a hammer and you go, well, that will help toward my goal. I could use a hammer for this goal.
Exactly.
Oh, and look at, there's some nails and there's a little saw to cut some wood with.
Yeah.
And ooh, a little cool window. I could put a window in my tree house.
Exactly.
It's all meeting my goal.
Exactly.
But when there's something like
an ice cream cone.
an ice cream cone, you're like, well,
That's not gonna help.
that doesn't really go with the goal I'm working on here.
So, boop.
And you don't even recognize it. You're
Yeah.
not even aware
You're
of
not
it.
distracted by
You're
it.
not distracted by it. You're not tempted to pick it up because it's not in alignment
Yes.
with the goal.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting, like these are like basic like business principles that you learn.
100%.
But we never thought to apply them to a relationship.
And that's why at the beginning it says that the Course in Miracles, that this is practical.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it didn't just say simple, it said extremely simple.
Exactly.
It's extremely simple at the beginning of any situation.
Yes, right.
To ask yourself, what do I want
to come
to
with
come
this.
of this?
Yes, what is this for? And it's saying that is not what the ego does. That's not the ego's formula.
Yeah, we got that.
Exactly. Okay. Now, it says in the ego's approach, the ego's business plan, the ego's relationship plan, there was no goal that was set with which to bring the means in line. And now the only judgment left to make in the ego's plan is whether or not the ego likes it. Is what happened acceptable, or does what happened call for vengeance? That's the ego's plan. I just wait to see what happens, and then I look at it and I go, do I like what happened or do I not? Do I need to have some vengeance or not?
So in the jealousy story, I can look out there and this is exactly right. The ego goes, do I like what's happening? It goes, no. And does it call for vengeance? Yes.
Ego always goes for vengeance. Ego loves vengeance.
and think about it. Rather than us tripping as we walk all the time, we could stop tripping just by asking this simple question.
Yes,
the simple question at the beginning of the situation, as it starts developing.
Yes. Situation, which is also a relationship. Remember that. Like, what if we asked ourselves that question at the beginning of our relationships? You know, or asked ourselves that in our relationship situations. You know, boy, it'd be completely different because we would be doing it opposite of the way that our ego has always done it. And the way the ego has always done it in our relationship, it always leads to, let's go for vengeance. You know, it always leads to, let's go for vengeance.
And the reason we keep encouraging week after week, especially more lately than ever, that these ideas are not only practical but that they work is once we start applying these ideas into, and we try it this different way, this is what you'll start to learn. Even though there's still a nagging part of you during the party where Anna's across the room laughing it up with this, kind of good-looking guy.
Kind
of. And then you did the formula, and you said to yourself, what do I want to come out of this? Well, I don't want to get in a fight. I don't want to be angry again, upset again, feeling, feeling vulnerable again, being jealous again, having all these unhappy attributes again. And even though I say to myself, what do I want to come out of this? I want happiness, and remind myself, I want joy. I want to be at peace. I want to have a good relationship. I want to have a happy relationship with Anna. This is my experience personally. Is it may not, and most likely won't happen right away. It's not going to happen in the twinkling of an eye. Sometimes it will.
Unless you want it to.
But usually, because that temptation's still going to keep nagging you, 15 minutes later, now you see them talking in a different part of the house together. And the ego going, there you go. You didn't do nothing about it, and it's just getting worse. Well, that's not what tends to happen. In my experience, once I start applying the principle, Holy Spirit is heaven. God is so happy that you finally did it different.
Yay.
That my experience is usually rather quickly, what will usually happen is I won't find them on another part of the house talking in the corner of another room together. What will usually happen is they're not together, and the guy will come up to me and tell me how wonderful the conversation was, and blah, 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 blah. In other words, whatever is needed to happen to show me that I didn't have anything to fear.
Right.
And even if something did happen and they went home and had an affair and Anna ran off with him, to know, what do I want to come out of this in peace, joy, and
Still
happiness?
going to protect you.
The point is, heaven will validate.
Exactly.
Remember that.
That's right.
Heaven will, that's my point.
Exactly.
As heaven will validate.
Heaven will, that's a brilliant point, because
it's not going to be that heaven's going to go, well, there you went, trusting in love.
That'll teach
and
you
then
to trust
she
in
left
love.
you, and now you live in a trailer home in the backwoods of Oklahoma.
With 10 cats.
With 10 cats.
Yes.
And that's just not how it goes.
Exactly.
At the end of the story,
That's right.
heaven will validate
Absolutely.
your trust in heaven.
Exactly.
'Cause that's what you're really doing now, is
That's right.
you're replacing your trust in a different manner.
Exactly. I'm so happy you said that, because, when you do that formula, and you do that process, and you do it genuinely, if in that story I went off and left with another man, then your goal of peace and happiness will still be fulfilled.
Yeah.
But it will be fulfilled in a way where now it could happen.
Right.
If your goal is peace and happiness, and Spirit knows that you're not going to be able to experience that in this situation, then Spirit's going to set up where that situation goes away, and then the situation where you are ecstatic and fulfilled can come.
Without you doing anything.
Without you doing anything.
Anything.
Without you doing anything.
You don't have to go, okay, well,
don't have to attack.
I'm going to have to protect myself.
Don't have to
this way or
control.
that way.
Don't have to attack.
All you have to do is do the formula.
Do the formula.
And then if Spirit's saying there going, well, for you to be happy, you need to know that this person's been cheating on you.
That's right.
And they've ran off with somebody. And I can't get you to a place of being happy because you won't let go of this anchor of a relationship that's not allowing you to be yourself and be comfortable and be happy and be free because you insist the only way it's going to be is to be with this person that doesn't appreciate you, doesn't honor you, and doesn't even want to be with you really.
That want to be with somebody else.
Yeah, but you think to be happy, you have to be with them, have to stay with them. And so, once again, because you think you know, then that's the way it goes.
Right, but once you set the goal for happiness, then automatically Spirit joins you in that, and now the plan for your real happiness is now set in motion.
Right.
And you set that in motion with your goal. Because what does a goal do? It brings the means for the accomplishment of your goal in line. That's what a goal does. A goal brings the means for the accomplishment of your goal in line.
Now we're learning more and more the power of thought, the power of our mind.
Yes.
And if your mind believes that something bad's happening, you will literally manifest in your experience something bad.
Yes.
If you believe that, only happiness is the goal, joy is the goal, peace is the goal, then from the thought and power of your consciousness, of your mind, it will manifest.
Yes.
It will happen. That's why I say you don't have to even do anything. It will happen.
Yes.
I know that's hard to believe, that without your doing anything other than just lining up with what the application is telling you to do, it's not giving you a whole complicated book of other things to do as well. It's making it very practical and simple.
Exactly. And so what A Course in Miracles is teaching us is that when your goal aligns with Spirit's purpose,
which is to be happy,
which is for happiness and peace, not control and guilt and attack, when your purpose is in alignment with Spirit's purpose, then it's going to be accomplished. All the means are going to be provided. And that's all you need to know. It's very simple.
It would be
very
complicated if
It's
we
not
had to
complicated.
figure it out how it's going to work out that way.
Exactly. It would be complicated if you have to figure out how all the means are going to be provided to make that happen. And it's saying you don't have to do that. Our only purpose is very simple, very practical, very easy. When we align our purpose, peace, with the purpose of Spirit, peace, then all the means for peace are brought in line. They're provided. It's so simple. I don't have to figure anything out. I don't have to make anything happen. I don't have to make anything happen. All I have to do is align my purpose with Spirit's purpose in this situation, in this relationship, and then all the means for that shared purpose are provided. Very simple, not complicated at all. Don't have to do anything.
We don't need to know how that works.
No, we don't have to know how that works.
That would be too complicated.
Exactly.
That'd be above our
Pay
current level
grade.
of understanding.
Exactly. And it says, so in other words, the absence of a clear criterion for outcome, which means a goal, the absence of a clear goal set in advance makes understanding doubtful and evaluation impossible. And that's the end of that paragraph.
All right.
Okay. So that's why the value of deciding in advance what you want to happen is simply that you will perceive the relationship as a means to make it happen. And you will therefore make every effort to overlook what interferes with the accomplishment of your goal, and you'll just concentrate on everything that helps you meet your goal. And it's quite noticeable that this approach has brought you closer to Spirit's sorting out of truth and falsity. And now that you have that clear-cut positive goal set at the beginning, now what's true in this relationship becomes what can be used to meet your goal. And what's false becomes what's useless from the point of view of your goal. And now your relationship has meaning, but only because your goal has made your relationship meaningful. Okay?
Beautiful.
That's the value of setting the goal for the relationship at the beginning, okay? So when Greg and I set the goal for our relationship, or any situation that we find ourselves in our relationship, when we set the goal and go, the purpose of our relationship or the purpose of the situation is peace, then everything that brings peace we focus on and concentrate on, and everything that doesn't bring us peace, we just absolutely let it go by the wayside. That is the value of setting a goal, because what's useful becomes what helps us to have peace, and what's not helping us to have peace, it ain't useful. Let it go. Well, don't even focus on it. And that is how setting the goal at the beginning of a situation in your relationship or for your relationship enables you to accomplish that goal easily and quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Now, so because this is so important in the whole, journey from the special unhappy relationship to the holy happy relationship, maybe we'll pick back up on this next time we do our class, which would probably be next Tuesday.
Yeah, from New York.
Yeah, from New York.
So,
Yeah, with the beach as the background.
all right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you for those of you that have
Yes.
put up with the Wi-Fi going in and out, but I'm not disappointed in any of that, because I really believe that Spirit gave us some confirmation on what Spirit wants to do.
Yes.
And so when we get back from New York, most likely we'll be going down to the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center and doing our live streams in person there. And anybody locally that would like to come in can watch the class without worrying about what the weather's doing outside.
Exactly. And then when winter comes and we can't drive down to Denver, then we'll just do it from here and in front of the fireplace.
All right.
So appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time we see you. Love you guys.
Love you
Take
guys.
care.
Have a great week.